All right, all right. Hello, hello. Welcome everyone back to the second happy hour show of the week with this guy, Dylan. How you doing, man?
Wow. Thanks, Cabana. I'm doing great, man.
Yeah. Didn't
Long
really
time no see.
didn't get to see you too much on Tuesday because you may have had something more important going on, or according to Buck, not. But uh, things are well.
Things are well. Things are
All
very
right,
well.
all
Yes.
right.
The
So
uh the boomer was, a little agitated, pulling my leg a little bit, but everything went well, so.
good, good, good. Well, the reason that we're doing a second show this week, we're just talking in the green room. Like it's nice to have things to talk about again. First off, and today's guest was actually in our show's chat, YouTube chat, on Tuesday, and I was like, man, it'd be cool to talk to him again because this guy has been teasing some things coming down the pike, and I'm excited about that. I was a fan of the Hedron and the Icosa and the Watsa. Shout out to I see some of you in the chat. So we'll get some questions answered about those and plenty of other things. If you're new here, I'm Cabana. Big K is my co-host. He'll be here in about 5-10 minutes. So you'll get your taste of Big K. And my friend Dylan over here has been on a lot lately. What you're running a with Buck a sacrifice pool. We can get into that later if there's any worth of sacking. And yeah, so I guess we should wait for our guest of honor, who has just arrived, evidently. Alex, what is going on?
What's going on?
Good to see you. Glad to have you back. I don't even remember. I was trying to remember like last time you were on this channel. I would want to say it was like the first or second season that we even did this. Whenever
Wow.
I guess Hedron came out. What do you remember when that was?
Dude, Hedron came out in 2022, didn't it?
Yeah, so like 2-3 years ago. And then I've done a few other things. I think I did like a couple Hex conferences, and then I haven't streamed in a while.
And you did the old highest of stakes. I saw you appear there.
I did participate a bit in that. That is true.
And
that was a fun experience.
Yeah, I remember that. Just like the build up to it was cool. Got to go see it. Big Pep was at the same theater.
Yep. Actually, that's the first time I met Big K, I think.
Oh, Big K. Yeah,
Nice.
You saw it like out west though, right?
Yeah,
we were down in Florida. Chat, before we get going, shout out to everybody in here. Got some OGs, got the Maddie Allen and Katie. Super Hex is in here.
Ooh.
Check out all these guys. The Junkie is here. We got a shout out to the Watsa. Yes, Acid Thunder 9713. Alex is a proper OG. What's up, Luna? DJ Cryptomatic, thank you for the raid from Twitch and the hip hop rhymes pre-show. We had a blast in the green room. Bunch of dudes in here. Who's this guy?
Why is it showing my old high school Twitter fucking name? That's funny.
What is that? So I guess just while the room fills up, we can just talk like some general markets. And Alex, I'd just love to get your take since you're here. You haven't been on in forever. Do you have thoughts on just like the overall crypto market? Are we in terms of, is a 4-year cycle still alive? Are we kind of growing out of that as this market becomes more mature? Your just thoughts on, I guess, the big two, Bitcoin and Ethereum, if you have any.
I mean, man, I could talk about this for too long, probably. But I mean, I would say, while I've been quiet a while for I don't know, at least maybe a year. I don't know. I've been relatively quiet, but I pretty much watch this stuff constantly as far as like, Bitcoin and just the macroeconomics of everything. I don't think you can really look at the crypto market and be like, and get like a really full picture here. I think, you really have to look at everything. And the reality is, at least in my estimation, the average just like normal retail investor type person's kind of been dead in the water since 2023-ish, maybe even part of 2022. We've effectively just been tightening. Like, Fed's obviously been raising rates, dropping their balance sheet for years at this point. And I think we've seen movements in crypto, like what's happened with, obviously Bitcoin, what Richard called the top or whatever, and then it went down, and obviously we've kind of rebounded and now are sinking a bit again. But I think a lot of that is just a consequence of a lot of this like regulatory certainty that we have now. There are people with very large funds that are now participating in this market that have historically never participated in this market. And I'm not convinced we've actually even seen a bull run yet. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, don't get me wrong.
Talk more.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I obviously, 17K Bitcoin to 120-ish K is a good move, right? But it's either like Bitcoin, that either means Bitcoin's like ranges are dying because it's taking too much capital to pump it, or the play hasn't really even happened yet. It's one or the other in my opinion. But I'm leaning more on the a lot of this is just effectively gigantic bags buying the bottoms for their ETF products that they want to sell. And that's a good and a bad thing. Like, I think it's great that we have this hopefully, blooming regulatory environment where like you can be much more clear on what's allowed and what's not allowed, right? Where I remember like I have to always like transport my mind back to like 2019 where everyone and their mom's getting sued by the SEC for no reason, even the people who registered, and they really were just really coming after anybody.
Yeah, like Coinbase got sued, didn't they?
Yeah, Coinbase got sued. I mean, it was just like
What the
anyone they
fuck?
could sue for any reason. They
Yeah,
tried,
seriously.
even if you were, and some people maybe deserved it, sure, but like it was really, really just a aggressive enforcement environment with no like real. Like, you couldn't go to the SEC and be like, "Hey, what should I do? What do I do to be on the right side of this?" They would just tell you, "Oh, we don't know. Just hope we don't sue you." Basically, like, that's insane. And we're not in that anymore. That's a really good thing, and we're seeing these bigger players exist in the market. So like the pro of that is, I think, as we progress down whatever this regulatory environment looks like. I think a lot of things that have never happened before are now open to being possible. The maybe downside is the crazy volatility doesn't exist as much. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's like it's either this bull market hasn't happened, or we're just going to see a reduction in volatility as time goes on, because you don't have as many people just panic buying and selling whenever these things happen.
And I guess thoughts on Ethereum specifically, because I guess so goes Ethereum generally, possibly so would go PulseChain, which is kind of important to a lot of people watching here. I've seen just like crazy numbers thrown out from people. Of course, everybody's favorite is Tom Lee, who just throws out like numbers out of a hat, and he's like, "Oh well, Ethereum, 25K by the end of 2025 or something weird." and you have other people throwing out even higher numbers, and then you have, of course, the Ethereum Foundation pretty much dumping at will, and Tom Lee's Bitminer trying to sop up supply and get to 5%. So, what's your current ETH take right now?
I mean, hasn't the ETH Foundation like historically always dumped? Like, I don't feel like that's anything particularly new. I think that happens all the time.
I mean, I think it's just more public now because prices, like, people want to break the all-time high.
Yeah.
And it just seems like every time we get, up into 3-4Ks, it doesn't really matter what price, but it's just like, I guess it's an easy finger point, basically. It'd be like, we know you're selling, you're the reason that price is down, stop selling, kind of thing.
The kind of where I'm at with Ethereum is, I think if you're speculating on it, the historical move's always been is like Bitcoin loses its dominance, and then all the speculators in Bitcoin just go jump to Ethereum, right? I don't know if that happens this time around, just because I don't know if there's that many speculators in Bitcoin. I know there's obviously a lot of people playing in it, but like, to me, like, I don't know, like, whenever Bitcoin would do crazy stuff before, whenever there was a top, I'm just used to, like, everybody in my inner circle who's basically, I won't call them anti-crypto, but they don't care about crypto, right? Like, I'm the weird one in the group.
Right.
And it's usually when they're asking me about it because they've seen it in the news a million times. That's kind of like, okay, top's getting close, right?
Taxi drivers, Uber drivers start talking, and
and that hasn't happened, right?
Right.
Like I don't feel like anyone really cares. Like, outside of, if you're in the crypto space, you care, but if anyone outside the crypto space, I don't think anything's really changed massively. I think everyone's still pretty much out of it. So when I try to think of, like, what's the pool of speculators, is it all just Michael Saylor? Like, and if that's true, then, well, he's not rotating into ETH. Maybe he'll change his mind. I don't know. So that's kind of like just historically what's happened is, Bitcoin loses dominance and people transition. I don't know if we've hit the pump required for that to happen yet. So my personal take is I like ETH more than Bitcoin. Like, if I have to choose one, I think ETH is technically the better coin, but what you think doesn't actually matter to the market. So
we have here. Big K, is that you?
What's up, gentlemen? How are you?
What's up?
Sure.
Glad to be here.
Okay. Good to see you.
Sorry, I'm in a car. This is actually a fantastic stream. I'm getting out of a children's event inside the school right now. So this is thank you guys.
We are your excuse.
Nice.
So anyhow, I was just hearing things that I liked about Ethereum over Bitcoin from Alex there. I tend to agree.
Yeah, I certainly like both, but like Alex, I like Ethereum more. Can we just funnel all of our energy into the price? That'd be cool.
You figure out a way to make that work, and let me know.
Well, I mean, you're the builder, so
I mean, you figure out the theory.
Hey, Dev, build me this. Yeah.
Build me price up. Yeah. Well, I mean, it does. As far as which one I use every day, I use Ethereum basically every day, in some fashion. So, I mean, it's most definitely more like useful to me. I mean, that goes without saying. But yeah, the market decides silly things all the time and stays irrational longer than hexagons can stay solvent. So,
yeah, ain't that the truth? But it's funny. I can't remember the last time I've actually touched a Bitcoin wallet.
That's
a great question. I can't either.
Yeah, it had to have been when
probably
Ren
Rat
BTC
BTC for me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Ren
Yeah.
BTC was still a thing. Before that got
Yeah,
shut
because
down.
like if I was gonna buy BTC right now, I don't think I would. There's no way I would use a BTC wallet. I would probably just do it on a central exchange because why
ETH.
would for Bitcoin, like why would you do anything else, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's just no usability on it on that, you know, because if you're buying it, you're still, even if you're using a wallet, you're still gonna have to buy it from a centralized exchange somewhere, and there's no DeFi solutions to get you Bitcoin that easily. You know, I mean, I know there's like Change Now and stuff like that make it easy in wallets, but that's still just using a fucking exchange, you know?
Yeah, it's just layers making it appear easy in my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chat, I see all your questions, so don't worry. I am marking them down, and a lot of them are for Alex, so we will certainly get to those. I can get to this one right now. Would you buy Bitcoin Cash? I would sell it to you if you would like to buy it, but I would not.
Is it still a thing?
I don't know. Is it? I guess it is if somebody's asking about it.
It's hard to kill stuff even if it's garbage. And
Yeah.
and you know the thing is that, like,
Are you talking about PDI or something else?
Bitcoin Cash,
Oh, are we allowed
right?
to say that here?
Oh yeah.
You know, the thing about Bitcoin Cash is that, like, you know, if you know my story incomplete, like that was my first time of Richard schooling me on shit, and I didn't want to listen. Was him arguing
Rip.
arguing with Roger Ver, and I was very much in the Roger Ver camp. Like, I mean, that's the thing that you have to remember about Bitcoin Cash, that like that tells us something else as well, that like they haven't had a new product or a new anything since that fork, and while they do have a very fervent community, that is one thing that, like, I will say that Hexicans, that we parallel them in some ways, in that like their community is full of zealous people that, whether right or wrong or shown like just straight up truth with evidence, they still will stick their heads in their sand and believe, you know. So like whatever that is, it hasn't entirely worked for them either, you know what I mean? Like, that's not the only metric that matters, is whether or not you have a cult like community, because like that, I was a part of it. Like, I was very much a part of that. I mean, I went to Tokyo. I shook Satoshi's hand, or fake Satoshi's fucking Craig Wright's fucking hand. I met all those dudes there, and like had interactions with all the different characters that are in the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem. And I did find that they had similar, you know, cult-like community tendencies, you know, and they do have a community, you know, but it's not enough to to overcome what is the most and more sell pressure than we've ever imagined, you know. So whatever that's worth, you know, that's just for everyone's knowledge out there. Yeah, they're not gone, but they are mostly forgotten. And without any new products or any new you know angles or anything like that, they're going to stay that way, you know. Which brings me to ProveX. I see the little logo and right next to my white orb-like head over here.
Your white orb-like head.
Which is like brings me a lot of excitement and you know, renewed vigor in this community to have something else to rally behind that makes sense.
Yes, that is definitely on the topic list. Big K, you have a little time for some trivia before we move on, and as the room.
Sure.
All right. Good thing Dylan is at the opposite end of the clock, as he is taking care of a matter or murder right now. But let's do a little Richard Hart current event, or current Richard Hart X post multiple choice, just to get the brains churning before we get into the good stuff. Big K, responding to Solana's post about staying away from bridges, what alternative did Richard Hart win promote? Hex.com, ProveX.com, PulseChain.com, or Ethereum.org?
Do you want to say the question again, or should I just answer?
You can answer.
I was kind of hoping you'd read the question again because I
Responding to Solana's post about staying away from bridges, what alternative did Richard Hart Win promote? Hex.com, ProveX.com, PulseChain.com, Ethereum.org.
I'm going to say promoted ProveX.com.
Is that your final answer?
I might be wrong, but I feel like that makes them. I mean, the other three don't really make sense when we're talking about bridges, really. But I've been wrong on the first question before, sir. So if so, I'll salute you all on my way out.
The answer is ProveX, Sandy Beach.
Yes. Yes.
Let's see. Alex, in his detailed reply to Vitalik about Ethereum upgrades, what ETH price target did Richard Hart Win express as fine? 5K, 10K, 20K, 1K.
Yeah. See, the funny thing is I read this tweet.
In his detailed reply to Vitalik about Ethereum, what ETH price target did Richard Hart Win express as fine? 5K, 10K, 20K, or 1K?
I don't know. I'm gonna say 5K, but I could be wrong.
The answer is 10K. Nikola Hexla got it, and I so wanted to be a better host, Alex, but I hate to do this to you. You've been rugged.
Oof.
And then there were two. So, I mean, Big K could win right now. We'll see.
Good.
Dylan responding
to
Bitwise's video claiming you can't print more Bitcoin. Richard Hart mentioned his past experience with what? ASIC mining, GPU mining, cloud hashing, Bitcoin printing presses. Responding to Bitwise's video claiming you can't print more Bitcoin, Richard Hart mentioned his past experience with what? ASIC mining, GPU mining, cloud hashing, Bitcoin printing presses.
Well, he didn't have an ASIC back then. They didn't have cloud mining back then. And printing press? I mean, that might be a wild card. So I'm going to have to go with GPU mining, I guess.
Correct answer.
Ooh.
It's GPU mining.
Oh, why do you...
And Big K rugged himself. I did not do that.
Oh, okay. I was like,
We can bring back Alex to
there we go.
take Big K's.
He's got a lifeline.
He's got a lifeline. All right, let's do it. Here we go. Replying to CZ's post about protecting kids' crypto access, Richard Hart sarcastically suggested what as a risk? A hardware wallet. B, an exchange. C, a family trust. D, a smart contract.
Repeat one more time.
Replying to CZ's post about protecting kids' crypto access, Richard Hart sarcastically suggested what as a risk? A hardware wallet, an exchange, a family trust, or a smart contract?
Probably a family trust.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, you make me question it.
That's my job.
All right, fine. Well, let's change it. I'll question it. It's exchange.
See, the correct answer is exchange because
cool. Right.
it was a sarcastic. It was a sarcastic answer.
I mean, a family trust is probably a risk too.
Yes.
True.
And yes, lights out. Big K, I believe, does have the most title defenses as our Brock Lesnar of trivia, reigning, defending, undisputed trivia champion of Happy Hour. Alex, thank you for that answer. Keeping Big K alive. Sorry, we got to rug you again because Big K is back.
Oh,
thank goodness.
Welcome back, Big K.
I'm
Alex,
so glad Alex
Alex,
answered that for me. I would have gotten that one wrong. So you're only up against me still, Dylan, because of him. So thank you,
there you
Alex.
go. All right, Dylan, to stay in it, replying to a post about mega data centers needing air defense, Richard Hart quipped, A, is excuse me, is air bad for computers? B, defend against dust. C, air cooling is key. D, missiles incoming.
Give it to me again.
Replying to a post about mega data centers needing air defense, Richard Hart quipped, A, is air bad for computers? B, defend against dust. C, air cooling is key. D, missiles incoming.
It's either defend against dust or missiles incoming.
And what say you?
I feel like I read missiles incoming, but I'm gonna have to go with dust. That's a more reasonable
Quippy.
answer, I guess.
Well, the good news for you is that you threw out a wrong answer. The bad news is you still picked the wrong answer. Is air bad for computers? That was the
wow,
response.
totally wrong, man. Shit.
Dylan, you've been rugged. And that leaves
shit.
us with Big K's talking orb head. And as you are used to, Big K, the winner of this competition gets to address the audience. Big K, take it away.
Hello, everyone. It's fantastic to be in the winner's circle again. I did have to, I would like to thank those that helped me get here, namely Alex for answering the question that I left with, and also Dylan for getting the questions wrong. It was also very helpful to me. Thank you guys. You guys are fantastic. And thank you to everybody else out there for listening to my floating, glowing orb head.
The end.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty good orb head, though.
Yeah.
It's the old standard. Yeah, people are saying Alex won. I mean, technically, we could, we could throw both of you up there.
We'll take co-victor status. I like it.
The name on the trophy will say Big K, unfortunately.
Well, I'll stick it in the trophy
Stop
case.
The
with all
count.
rest of them.
All right, so let's get into the fun stuff and what everybody's here for. There's probably about 4 different topics, so I'm not sure, Alex, how long you have, but I'd like to at least cover them all. So if you're on a time crunch or limit, let me know, and I'll try to fit everything in.
I should be pretty fine today.
Okay.
It's Friday, so yeah.
Cool. The first one has to deal with a tweet that you published, and I believe you were talking about it on one of Buck and Dylan's spaces recently. And it has to deal with a PulseChain Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess first, could you explain perhaps to this audience, what that is, and perhaps the benefits from it, and how possibly, I guess, this community could go about the beginning efforts of establishing such an entity?
Well, it's unfortunately not a straight answer.
The straightest that you can make it for a happy hour audience, but
yeah, I'll try to keep it in line. The big thing is, you look at basically any other chain out there, right? There's some kind of non-profit-ish entity that's effectively just overseeing like things that should exist that maybe don't have incentives to do, and that can be some of that stuff that I already do to a degree. Like I provide like free APIs to a lot of people who build apps for PulseChain. So I won't name them all. That's a big list, but that's like like part of my shtick is I believe that for us to have good things, that the builders out there who are building analytics tools or whatever they're building should be able to access the data that they need. So that's something that I personally feel very strongly about. But there's other things. There's protocols that have launched in the past, and Ethereum and other chains that like they don't have a token, they don't make fees, but people find value in it. And I'm trying to remember some of them. Am I wrong? I mean, no one probably knows the answer to this. It's probably so long ago, but I believe Tornado Cash, the original idea behind it was a grant from somebody ultimately that helped fund it before they like added a token on and did all the other stuff. Like just the original creation of that. There was some funding involved for that. And like, but those are things that are inherently valuable. That I feel like we should have a foundation and we should have kind of a centralized voice that represents the community on like, hey, these are the things that are important to us and what we stand on. I know there's some people who have tried or are actively trying to do this as well. So, since I made that tweet, basically a lot of people have reached out to me about their efforts to do it. So I'm kind of like going through a bunch of stuff and seeing like how can we make this more real? Because some of these people are kind of islanded off and not really supported, and I don't really know why exactly. So I'm just kind of like that data that I have to crunch and like conversations I need to have. But I think it's important, and it's the funniest thing is like it's not even a thing I want to do. Like the last thing I want to do is like be involved in a foundation.
Like
But
you personally,
I don't.
Yeah,
but I do think it's important, and I would be involved if it meant a positive or a more positive outcome for everyone else. If I feel like it's worth doing, I'll do it. So, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But I do think for us to be taken seriously and not for the whole world to just look at us as like, oh, that's Richard's scam chain. We need something that can represent all of us and not just Richard. Whether you love him or hate him, we are real. We are not bots on Twitter like a lot of people think we are. And I think it's important that, we have a unified voice, and that would help us a lot.
I agree with that. I'm more willing to be a part of it now than I have been in the past. Like I see an actual road forward that makes sense now too. Also, yes, you're correct. It was Gitcoin, that community that bootstrapped Tornado Cash with a $30,000 grant. That's all they got. Pretty impressive.
I was going to say if someone on the screen knew, it would be Big K. So, good job.
Big K knows everything. That's why he's the trivia champion.
He's an OG of many circles. Yeah.
I mean, when I first got into crypto, I think I reread everything on BitcoinTalk.org, the forums, all the way back to like the beginning. Like I must have read every fucking post that I could. So yeah, I did some pretty extensive research.
That's like finishing Netflix. That's pretty
there's
good.
there's a lot of bullshit in there. So yeah, for sure.
It's like finishing Netflix, but if 4chan owned Netflix.
Yeah, that's exactly right, dude. Holy shit.
And I know this foundation thing has been like talked about loosely in private chats for a long time now, but
well, I really tried to push other people to do it. Like basically when Pulse launched, I was like, hey, we should do this. And I know like there's a bunch, there's like group chats with other people who have built things or are building things on PulseChain, and I've been vocal in there about it. But it's kind of a thing where like everybody's like, yeah, it's a good idea. Someone should do that.
Yeah. Not me though.
Yeah. And like I get it, right? Because who wants to do that? Because there's two angles to it. It's like if you really want to do it, you might not be the right person for it. That's kind of the problem.
Yeah,
the
there has to
person
be
you-
some sort of like nomination process, or like just because I mean now's the time to do it. I would almost think it's better now to do it than before
Yeah.
the hard times, because a lot of characters in this ecosystem have revealed themselves,
Yeah.
and you can kind of like cross those people off the list, in my opinion.
Exactly.
I mean, there's only a handful of people that I would even want, just off the top of my head, to even touch some sort of thing like this.
And this is like also the uncomfortable question is, and this will lead into other talks we'll have tonight. This community is so fractured right now. It's unbelievably fractured, and it didn't always used to be that way. It was a lot easier when it was just Hex and everyone could just like be like, hey, yeah, it's just Hex, let's all go for Hex, right? I'm not saying there aren't valid reasons for people to like have picked their factions and hate each other within the ethos of PulseChain, but ultimately if there's going to be a foundation that like has an effect, you're probably going to see multiple people on that board that don't like each other, and it's probably going to be a little ugly. But I don't know how you get to that point without like getting through those ugly conversations. So that's another reason I don't really want to do it. But I think it's necessary. I don't think you can move forward without having some of those ugly conversations, and whether the community comes back together from that or not. Right.
Seems like we're at that part of the cycle or whatever where it's like the Pirates of the Caribbean when all the pirate lords come together and they all fucking hate each other's guts, and then they're like between a common enemy and they finally like band together. Like we're sitting at the table like slinging shit right now, but slowly.
But that's ultimately kind of what has to happen.
I'm actually more in for that part. I actually like that part of it all. Like I think it would be invigorating and fun to get all these people in the same room to hash it out. I feel like that some of that's like, while it seems messy and ugly, like that's where there's actual growth and community building that happens. That's where the people who actually want to put aside some differences can make a difference. And that would be great. Actually, before.
So you would help mediate or lob grenades and take video? Big cat.
No, I would most definitely. I don't want to lob grenades. I mean, the part of me wants to see somebody have like, I don't know, coffee or somebody aside grenades for the fun of it. No, darn it. Somebody's got to be there to like get the shit stirred properly. But but once it's stirred, then no. I think that just sorting through it all would be is way more effective. But yeah, no.
Nope. But yeah, I agree with that. I think it's just gonna have to be. I don't know who it is, but it's I don't think if we don't get through that, then then we stay in this like weird fractured state forever, and I think that's lame. So
yeah, like I said, I don't even know where you start with like a nomination process, but I mean, you would definitely want like community input, because there's, I mean, that's basically who it's serving. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, who's going to be loud for who? And then it would turn into that and be like, oh, well, this person is this person is this. And it's just, we have to get the message out that it's like, this is for the greater good kind of thing. And we kind of like Dylan's interesting Pirates of the Caribbean recall. You gotta band together, even if you're not quite fond of the other guy, because there's a greater purpose out there.
Yeah, and I think you just achieve that by super narrowing the focus of this thing. Like, don't make it about like anything about price. Like this is like, Richard would hate that I'm saying this, but or at least the Richard of multiple years ago would hate this. I don't know if current Richard would hate this, but like, don't make it about price. It's not about, I mean, maybe it's kind of about marketing, but really it's the thing is just about like spreading awareness and like being open-minded to everyone we approach and saying like, hey, like, here's this thing, it's PulseChain, here's the foundation of why it exists, we hope you think it's cool. Like, if it's anything beyond that, then like, if that's anything,
it's just got to be
beyond,
straight brand equity. You know, that's what you were talking about.
yeah,
It's just like
yeah,
building brand equity is what we really need. We have like basically zero. So like going from wherever we are to somewhere better where people think somewhat nicer of us or like legitimate of us, then that's it. That's all. You know, fund some things that can be easy wins for the community that actually need to be there, and you know, make a decent name for ourselves. You know, that's
Yep.
fun and engaging. You know, that's what is needed. Not like, you know, you're right. We're not going to get anywhere by talking about price or arguing about how to make it go up or any of that stuff. It's like it's got to be some, you know, agnostic to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I feel like if you can keep a narrow focus like that, then I think you can get everyone to get along well enough that it's worthwhile. So we'll see. We'll see if it can be a thing or not.
Well, I'm down to help. And I am also getting a text that I got to go into this school event. So I may come back out in a little bit, but I'm going to go wrangle my children.
All right, amigo.
Sounds good.
Check you in a bit. Let's Alex, you mentioned something interesting when you were talking about the foundation there, and RH is kind of like you know, what version of RH would like this, or you know, like this nowadays versus a while back. Just want to get your take on the video that dropped. I guess it was Tuesday, and you know, I thought it was like a noticeably different RH. You brought up the point that, and I think it was a great point, and I think everybody should do it that's in this community. If you like, go back and watch old RH videos and then watch this one after that, and you'll pick up on, I guess, some different I don't know, character traits, or just how he is in this recent video.
Well, he looks a little older.
Yeah.
But you know, jokes aside, I it's hard to, it's been so long that I literally had to go watch an old Richard Hart video to like really appreciate the difference. But I think a lot of us discount the like, how long was it? How long was like he basically silent for during the whole SEC? Why can I not say SEC? SEC thing. It's like 3 years, roughly, 2 or 3.
That was 2-ish.
2,
maybe.
yeah.
No
Something
live
like
streams,
that.
but we've got videos. But yeah, no live streams for.
Yeah,
I think
yeah, and like, I don't know if I count the Christmas video, but
Yeah.
but my whole thing is like, that dude's had time to do a lot of thinking. And so it was really, what I was most interested in this most recent video is just like, his outlook has changed a lot and his demeanor has changed a lot. It's a lot less of that you know, kind of fuck you, we're gonna do it anyway attitude. And you know, I think he showed a lot of growth personally. Yeah, the questions definitely brought back old Richard for sure.
I really
so it's like
that.
You know, he's not out for the count or anything, but I do think he's evolved, and so or at least it seems that way. So I'm interested to see like what his future content looks like moving forward. Like if that video had come out and it was spun off in the same way that like he used to talk in Hex or like early PulseChain idea, right? I don't know if I would have believed in it quite as much. So, you know, it's like, it very much spoke to me from like, you know, hey, I'm a person who fought the SEC and had the chilling effect of silence for 2 years, and you know, here's my plan. And Yeah, so I'm excited and interested to see what this new version of Richard looks like longer term.
Dylan, any thoughts?
I thought that his video he looked good, you know.
Yeah.
Silver Fox
Yeah.
action going on with the
I think that's the only reason, because if you look at the video from May, like the silver is there, it was just way shorter. So him growing it out, I think you know,
It looks better long.
Yeah, got the Fox action going. Yes, I like it longer too.
No
homo.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, yeah, I mean, listen, I think he's kind of grounded himself, and he's realized, you know, hey, like I got to try something new here. I got to try some new marketing tactic. You know, there's really haven't had anything going on marketing wise with PulseChain, and you know, things like that, and the doodle pads, you know, and so now we have this new thing. And I mean, I think that he was watching his words, but in the question thing, I think we all agree, like, we had old Richard back. I mean, at one point he said to you know, like you know, put it over your, you know what I mean? So like he cut that out of YouTube. Like I watched Trayvon's you know what I mean? I watched Trey's recap of it, and that was cut out, and he's like, what did he cut out there? There's a skip. What did he cut out there? And I went and watched the Twitter one because it was uncut, and then I was, oh, okay, he cut out that, and which, you know,
That's
makes
funny.
sense. Yeah. So or whoever runs the YouTube account did that, you know. But yeah, we got, like, you know, old Richard, a little reminder of old Richard. So that was really nice. It was you know, it's a good video. So I enjoyed it. I watched it more times than I care to admit, by the way. So, and
I totally watched that thing like 4 times just to like extract every detail of every word that probably doesn't matter.
Yep, same here. Yep, so yeah.
And that'll happen too if you haven't had a video from somebody in 6 months. So
True. Yeah.
that you enjoy watching, and yeah, he mentioned quite a few things, and then notably he did not mention Hex's birthday. I thought.
Oh yeah, he didn't, did he?
That was
he did not.
Little sad about that, being that, you know, I love Hex, but all the coins, all the cores. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. But speaking of Hex, Alex, you kind of built some things with Hex in mind, pretty much directly tied to Hex in the past, specifically Icosa and Hedron. We have plenty of interest and questions in the chat asking about those. So could you give us, I guess, an update on, I guess, just the state, or perhaps the future? Perhaps this is a good question to start with. What's the future of Hedron Icosa? Yeah, the man, 3 years ago, I think it was, that they came to life. So where are we with those, and might they tie into something that you're currently building?
So there's some things I haven't said, and maybe I'll say them today. But Hedron was originally built as a derivative thing on Hex, and Icosa as well. Those are both actually kind of built at the same time, but Solidity has limits on how much code you can actually shove into a contract before it doesn't work anymore. So I'm trying to, like, Hedron and Icosa both are functional. They're basically complete, but I don't personally feel like they are properly reflective of their derivative status when we have 2 hexes split across 2 chains. So, like, one thing at one point, I still am, I do very much plan and am working on a system to unify the two. That got made a lot harder when unfortunately, when the OA decided to, or whoever nuked the eHex side. But hey, we're actually kind of close to parity now, so not the way I wanted it, but...
Right.
We're getting closer to zero.
Yeah.
Fuck.
But the whole thing with Icosa and Hedron is its future is Hex's future. They are inexplicably linked to Hex. I don't think Hex is out for the count either, but right now the market doesn't value it clearly, as well as a lot of PulseChain currently. But there are actually some aspects to what Hex is currently doing that is, I think, long-term beneficial. With the yields being lower, I mean, we've seen through basically all of PulseChain's, pretty much the entirety of PulseChain's life, the 30-day whale restaker strat, where you just, some guy stakes a bunch of Hex, 30 days, takes the yield, dumps the yield, does it again, does it again, does it again, does it again, over and over and over and over again. And that strat's dead now. And that combined with with the rest of the market performance, people are just not as excited about staking Hex. And ultimately that's really good for Hedron and Icosa's inflation. It means its inflation's almost nothing. So I think long term it's like a positive thing, but I do think uniting the two across chain and getting some excitement about Hex is on my radar. I don't think that's super easy to do when our community all hates each other. That's an unfortunate situation. Agreed. I'm in. So that's kind of a lot of the motivation behind, and we can bring it up later, but the whole motivation behind Sigma is really how do we get people together again, and something we can all focus on.
Yeah, well, speaking of Sigma, this question was asked earlier, and I had it starred by Martini Blanco. Is Sigma the new name for the icosahedron protocol? Can you provide any insights on what it is?
So Sigma is basically, I don't want to give away everything, so I'm gonna
teases are welcomed on this show.
Yeah. So the whole idea with Sigma is basically ETFs, or some people think of it indexes and ETFs are separate things, but
an RH Core ETF and meme ETF
could be an RH Core, could be an icosahedron Hex Core, whatever you want. The whole idea is whatever you care about, you can make effectively an ETF index. That there's a handful of different index strategies that you can pre-select, or some custom ones.
Right.
And I'm not going to go into super detail on how those work, but there are methods for rebalancing and maintaining proper asset weights based on the rules people want to set. And yeah, it's really just come build this thing. Anyone can make one. And what you do is you take a bunch of tokens. It's not too unlike Balancer in the sense that you're taking a bundle of tokens and getting one representation of that. But the difference is it's specifically not LP, and it's specifically balanced against a base asset, not just a relative value of them together. So, for example, if the base asset was a DAI or any other stable, doesn't really matter. Or you could have a base asset of Pulse if you wanted. There's some restrictions. There's a DAO which manages that, which the goal is the community gets to basically own the DAO and decide how this system, how the rules of the system are enforced to basically benefit everyone. There's some pump.fun elements where it's anyone can come make an index, and if your index does a certain degree of performance, then some staking rewards unlock, and you can do some other stuff. So there's pieces to this that I've thought about for a very long time on how do we how do you incentivize the collection of all these assets into this thing, but then in two, how do you also incentivize proper liquidity management across the whole thing? Basically just rewarding good behavior. Like every aspect of it is like, this is a thing that will help the chain as a whole. How do we reward that one thing? And then what's the next piece to reward, and so on and so forth. And I do think it's another aspect to be explored is once you have all these indexes of things you might care about, shipping them as bundles across the chain boundary is quite an interesting proposition, because right now, if you want to go buy Pulse, right, where are you going to buy it that's not PulseChain? I know there's a little bit of LP on Ethereum, not a lot. If you want to buy PHEX, there's a little bit on Ethereum. Like, it's all broken up, and you can take those bridge copies on Ethereum. You can go bridge them to Solana. I've done it. I've just wanted to see if there's liquidity over there. There's not, but but you could do it. And I'm like, well, what if you could just have one token you can ship over to Ethereum, and then everyone can just LP that one token, and then maybe you send a little bit of that to Solana, or however we do it, whether it's through the current bridging system we have now, or whether it's through ProveX, whatever. So like these are all like components that are all baked into Sigma, and the whole idea with Sigma is building a thing to reunify the community. That's really the core of it.
And we could use a little bit of that
yes.
after what we've been through. So hats off to you for building something that addresses that. The fast one, Senor Abdul, asked, I guess, about like the ETFs and bringing assets together. Isn't that what basically the balancer forks do?
So not exactly.
Yeah.
Because you have this problem with balancer where one, you're LP, right? So anyone you want to be in this thing, like they are subjecting themselves to impermanent loss, whether they realize it or not. And there's a whole class of people that specifically do not want to LP. They do not want to be in a liquidity pool. They just want to buy a thing that they like and hold that thing. And the less they have to think about it, the better. So that's one angle of it. The next angle of it is, so like in Balancer, if you want to like build structured indexes over time, like basically what you end up doing is you bundle some tokens together, right? And you're like, okay, this is this one. And then you want to say, okay, but I want to see how these relate to stables. Well, now you have to take that representative token and put it in another one with a stable version. So you're increasing the complexity of how you have to nest these things in order to get just the simple idea of this is an ETF of value as it relates to this base asset. So you're basically, the whole idea here is to restrict this to non-LP. You're basing the whole thing off of one initial base asset. If the DAO decides tomorrow, hey, all right, assuming like, okay, an RH coin index is a good example, right? It's got PulseX, Inc., Pulse, Hex in it, whatever. Tomorrow, ProveX comes out. You just add it.
Would those values in the index be floating, or would they be like fixed via, okay, like ratio of like, okay, there's 100 of each coin, and then that doesn't change, and it's just like the value is derived on the coins that are in the index? Or
well, it depends on your strategy, because there's like
okay.
5 or 6 different, well, there's technically 4 strategies currently to pick from, and then I'm kind of like seeing if the other ones actually make sense or not. But there's equal weight, so it's going to check the prices of all these assets on every mint and be like, okay, we want 25% this one, 25% that one, so on and so forth. It'll check the TVL of its own treasury and then be like, okay, this one's down a little bit, let's allocate a little bit more there, up to a specific range that the DAO gets to set. So you're kind of in this automated rebalancing system that constantly happens as new tokens are minted. And the strategy is either like, we're going to do it off of the equal weight, and the weight is its price compared to base asset, right? So it's like, how much of this thing do I own compared to all the other things that I own, and what are those prices equal? Same with there's like a market cap one that I've done. There's a liquidity weighted one, so whichever one has the most or the least liquidity, because you can invert the strategy if you want. And there's just like a custom one that's more like Balancer, where you just set your own whatever you want, percentage wise, and it'll stick to that unless the DAO votes to change it later. But regardless of all, like, so like that's like the whole thing. You kind of get to like build your index strategy as you want it to be. You're not LP, and you're particularly tracking value as it relates to a base asset, not just the relation of them together in their own pool, if that makes sense. And we're like kind of going to go on the weeds on a lot of people's head over. We're going over a lot of people's heads here because Dylan, I know you know a lot about Balancer, and
yeah,
I know a lot of other people don't know how that works. But
because if it's like where percentages, it'll act like a balance or liquidity pool, but if it's fixed, it won't do that. And so it's like, and you explain there's like many ways you can play this, and so yeah, this sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's basically taking the real life market ETF idea and the various variants that exist, and like, how do we do that in a chain setting? That's ultimately the simplest answer.
It's been a widely popular product this past year, ETF.
It has been, yeah.
I didn't understand what he said at all.
Just ETFs have been popular this year.
Oh yeah, true. I mean, all the tech startups, or the Mag 7 and then Nvidia, have been carrying the ETFs to Valhalla the past 2 years or so now. Like.
Yeah. So it's actually not a Balancer fork at all. It's all custom, but so it's like hard to explain, because if you're really into Balancer, you think in terms of Balancer, and it's hard to make.
You think liquidity pool, but this is not.
Yeah, this is not a liquidity pool. This is a I don't know, token basketing system. I don't know what you call it exactly, but it's specifically like, if you're like, hey, I like Richard Hart's coins, I want to buy all of them. Hey, this guy's got a strategy that he's put in that seems to be working pretty well. I can just buy that strategy, and then there's no other thought involved. You don't need to worry about impermanent loss. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You will always have that representation of tokens regardless.
Does the protocol also remove token supply when the balance shifts? I think you might have touched on
that. No, it doesn't need to. So if you'll have to look into like how net asset value works on like in real life, but you don't actually need to change like the supply of the token. Like, the price will just go up or down, and that's effectively an ARB opportunity if that does happen. And there's a little thingy in here that does some auto ARB on the holder's behalf when the conditions are right. But more or less, if the balance shifts, sorry, I read this wrong. I thought he was talking about price. If the balance shifts, right? So like, let's say price of one goes down, right? And it's no longer equal weighted. On the next mint, it's just going to dynamically figure out which one to buy a little bit more of until everything's kind of getting back in line, if that makes sense. Because like, when you mint this token, you're effectively buying all of the underlying pieces of it on market.
According to the strategy.
Yes, according to the strategy. Like, when you decide, like, you go into this with a stable, and you're going to end up with one token that represents a bunch of tokens based on the strategy of that index.
Yeah, and where fast would where it comes in like a balancer, it would take that token, sell it for everything else, according to the percentages in the liquidity pool, where it seems like this would be you allocate a specific set or amount of tokens based on the value you brought in. So it wouldn't be like you're getting in permanent loss. You're just essentially buying the preset range of those tokens. Is that a correct understanding?
Yeah, like the easiest one to understand is equal weight because they're all equal, right?
Okay.
So like let's say you have one with 4 assets in it. And let's say the base asset is a stable. You come in with the stable, and the protocol is effectively from market purchasing. All right, we're going to take 25% of what you put in. We're going to put it in asset 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's what goes into the index. That's the nutshell of it.
Yeah, nice.
I get it. Dylan, your mustache is on point today. I think it always
on
is.
point, man.
Yeah. So, well, that is that. Big K, did you have any other questions with dance music in the background?
It's very loud where I am, but I'm listening.
Thank you for that update. All right. So that was Sigma. And then, of course, I think we've gotten through most of the questions about that and ICOSA and Hedron. Just a general one.
I will add, there's a part of Sigma for the DAO token that's going to be given to a group of people that maybe participated in some ICOSA Hedron stuff at one point in time. So,
hey, ears are perking up here.
Like lots of holders, maybe?
I don't know.
The question for Big K was Watsa holders for those who could not make it out. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, really, there were multiple functions once I guess ICOSA came out because you could stake, I guess, both, and we also had the Watsas, as Big K mentioned. So there's lots of cool stuff. I gotta probably like Big K. I gotta do some wallet checking as this thing gets closer and find out where some things might be. So, but it's certainly exciting. Thanks for the little breakdown of what you can share so far, Alex. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it'll make way more sense when there's a website and you can actually see a flow chart. Like that's it's unfortunately, this is the most complicated contract I've ever written. And it's not even one contract, it's like 7 at this point.
Nice.
But at the end of the day, it borrows a lot of the ideas that were, brought to life through ICOSA and through the whole HSI system. And a lot of those pieces make this actually work really dynamically. So yeah, once there's a flow chart, I think people will see the flow chart and just be like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
So naturally that leads to, I guess, one of my final questions about this. When can we expect a little something more, just as in details or a website? Do you have like a target quarter, possibly next year?
This month.
Ooh, wow.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
I mostly don't talk about things, and I try not to talk about things unless I'm pretty certain on them.
Nice.
But I want testnet at the very least this month.
Wow.
I'm
Nice.
kind of no-lifing it at the moment. There's a lot of reasons for that, but the biggest one I think is I'm not gonna say this is the bottom because I'll jinx it.
So don't say it.
So it's not.
But it feels kind of like washy-outy.
Like maybe, in some reality it might be.
Maybe, could be, possibly the bottom.
I mean, there would be a good reason for it. So that kind of lines up with some things. And, perhaps somebody has been sprinkling some tornadoed ETH into some things, picking at things. I just, speculation about it. Anyway, will there be a sacrifice for this, Alex?
I don't like sacrifices, so
there you go.
Will there be an adoption amplifier-esque type thing? Probably, but not. I don't think it will be for the majority of the protocol. I want people to be able to use this entirely for free. Just walk in and use it. So, yeah, there'll be some details shared on that, but I don't believe in launching something that isn't complete on day one that you can choose to use or choose not to use. Like, it's either software that exists or it's not. That's my personal opinion.
Does Alex see any catalyst that can bring ICOSA back up to its ARB ceiling again? Those auctions were so fun. I remember those days.
Well, anything that could potentially make Hex more attractive, like, I don't know, an index of some type, we'll just do that. You know, if the Hex price goes up, we'll just do that. Like, that's the biggest thing right now is people don't value Hex. Like, how many people are making new Hex stakes right now compared to historicals? Like, it's piss poor.
Yeah.
Like,
few and far between.
yeah.
Yes.
And if people don't make stakes on Hex, are they going to value the derivatives of Hex staking? You know, and of course, like, the yield in Hex matters, like price of Hex matters, all these things matter, but you know, there needs to be excitement around Hex, and for there to be excitement around Hex, there needs to be excitement around probably the entirety of PulseChain, even the things people don't like. So that's an unfortunate place right now.
You mentioned Hex stakers. I know one guy that is a strong staker, even to this day. And that is OG Richie Rich. Yes, you are, sir. I see you on the Twitters talking about your staking. So thank you for practicing good behavior, sir. The Abdul of Fastness. How would Hex price going up fix the ICOSA Hex ARB rate?
Well, last I checked, Hex's or ICOSA's biggest liquidity pools are Hedron and Hex. So if Hex goes up, ICOSA goes up, Hedron goes up, people get excited about stuff again. And I'm pretty sure that liquidity is a lot thinner than Hex's liquidity. There's definitely much less tokens that exist on market. So I think you can kind of piece that together.
And boom, onward we go. I believe this might be the last topic of the evening. So we did have this sacrifice. We still have it. It's going on, and of course, I from listening to you just now, I can tell that you love sacrifices. And so, for those who weren't in the spaces the other day, could you take us back to learning of the ProveX sacrifice and your, I guess, gut immediate reaction of learning of such thing?
Sorry, you cut out there if you were talking to me.
Oh, I was saying, for those who were not in the spaces that you were in, I guess, of earlier this week, could you take us back, since we were talking about sacrifices and your love for them, your initial reaction to learning of the ProveX sacrifice from our age?
Oh, man, I don't know what I don't want to get your stream blocked, so are you freaking kidding me? But you know,
you can say whatever you want. We're not
okay. Yeah. My initial gut reaction was like, "You've got to be fucking kidding me!" Like, yeah. I think a lot of people felt that way when it first launched, and you know, because like, I mean, you have to just understand the context of all of this. Like history matters, and at the end of the day, PulseChain launched. We had the SEC stuff happen, and we basically had an MIA founder for the majority of that launch. and the community's split their various different ways. And after that, down price, down price, down price. Everybody's familiar with that. And then out of nowhere, hey, new sacrifice, right? Like, how can your gut reaction not be, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
yeah.
And then
the first text I got were, he's not taking cores, WTF. So
yeah. But I really spent a lot of time looking into it, because like, even me as a really technical person who really cares about blockchain stuff, him talking about it as Mr. Prove, which I can't decide if I like that name more than ProveX or not. Like, I do kind of like the idea of like Mr. Prove with like a little guy, and I was like, hey, make it like the Fallout guy or something. But anyway,
there you go.
Regardless of that, like he's describing it all out, I'm like, this just sounds like fantastical fantasy bullshit. And I had to actually sit there and think about it for a long time before I'm like, okay, maybe you could do that. Maybe that's reasonable. And then just doing a lot of research, because my first initial thought was like, okay, this probably has to be based on something that exists. And I think the community kind of figured out, hey, there's the ZK P2P thing's kind of close to it. So spent 2 weeks or whatever, however long it was, feels like a year, that I've just nonstop read up on ZK P2P, how it works. And then I was like, okay, I see the idea here. But the real thing for me that really like pushed me over the edge of like, this is a serious thing and not like just a grift, it was that video. If that video hadn't gone any other way, I'd probably still be on the fence about it. But I do pretty strongly believe, I'm not Richard, I can't speak for him. I do think this was somewhat designed intentionally to make a bottom and pulse chain of sorts. I can't prove that, but that's how I feel about it. So, and I don't think the idea is bad. I think the idea is actually good.
Well, speaking of that
Yeah.
idea, somebody asked, a very good question, which I was going to ask you anyway. From, obviously we don't have anything like 100%. This is exactly what it is, but Richard has kind of given us more and more hints and a website. Since you've done so much reading on it, I think you're probably, one of the highest qualified people to actually talk about this, but what do you think would be your summary of what ProveX could actually be and what it could aim to solve? I'll put it that way.
So the nice thing about ProveX, and I would say I don't think it's confirmed that it's going to be based on ZK P2P, but Richard did say it in that video. So I'm going to go on a limb and say it's probably based or a fork of it. The thing that really enables, and you don't have to know how it works, but it's like, Tornado Cash works this way. A lot of things work this way. It's not a new thing. But it's like zero knowledge proofs where you can basically hand someone an encrypted bit of gibberish and they can easily determine like whether a piece of information without having to disclose it. It's like if Dylan gave me $500, right? He could send me a thing that proves to me he sent me $500 without me actually knowing he sent me $500.
Or 200 to buck.
Yeah, or that. But and that sounds kind of crazy, but it actually is solid stuff. It's something that I've looked into deeply for the whole like multi-chain ICOSA thing at some point, because like one thing I really didn't want is that multi-chain Hedron ICOSA system was to have to rely on the bridge. Like that's kind of like one of the, the bridge has been pretty good. It does clog sometimes, but there's no guarantee it will be good forever, right? So it's like bridges scare me a little bit, which is partially why that hasn't happened. But so I know a lot about zero knowledge proofs, and I'm trying to like keep it dumbed down for everyone, not as an offensive way, but I just know people don't read the contracts like I do because I'm
correct.
because I'm insane.
I think I'll speak for the audience. Yeah. So no offense taken by them.
Yeah. So like realistically, anything that is cryptographically provable, anything that's like relatively unique. One of those, I know like one thing that zkp2p does right now, which is like this is a feature you can go use right now, is they're like basically OTC payments through Venmo. So I think it's a good example because the Venmo system, like their company, they're signing their emails. So when you get a receipt email from Venmo, it's already cryptographically signed with a hash. That's how your email client is like, oh yeah, this is real. Like this is a real email that came from Venmo. They put a public key on the internet. There's a whole infrastructure for that, but that's how it works. So because you already have the ability to verify, oh, this email that's a receipt from Venmo is actually valid and real, you can also prove it with a zero knowledge proof across a blockchain barrier. And so it's basically using browser extensions to like make that process happen. And then you can prove to someone, hey, I actually did send you some money. Please, from the escrow contract, release the crypto that you were going to give me, and we can do this little OTC deal, right? So that's just like a really surface example, but that can work in a lot of ways if it's implemented right. If the browser, whether it's a browser extension, whether it's a mobile app, it should probably be both, in my opinion, for ProveX. However it goes, that system can apply to lots of things in life. And so like I know right now everyone's talking about, oh, I can like buy crypto without an exchange. It's like that's one use case, but like you can also just like build a bridge very easily that has no throughput limitations. So it's like, wow, Solana's doing really well, even though I hate it. We could just bridge there, right? Or Solana could use ProveX to buy Solana and easily get there. And it's probably going to be faster than the official Ethereum Solana bridge, which is slower than ours, by the way, which is crazy.
That's saying something.
Yeah. So the big thing, in my opinion, with ProveX is just having that like break of the island, right? Like if PulseChain's an island, the only way really in and out of it that's massively liquid is the Ethereum bridge. I know we have some guys doing some on-ramp stuff, but like a lot of that isn't super up there yet, right? It's like it's still up and coming to a degree.
Yeah. Coast, for example.
Yeah. So I do feel like ProveX stands to like break PulseChain out of its island very easily. And it creates a system in which people can, maybe they won't even use ProveX for Pulse, right? Maybe they're just like, man, I'm just a guy and I want to buy Solana to get the newest Trump meme, right? Yeah. You could do that with ProveX and you could just do it through Venmo or whatever. And the thing I think that makes it particularly interesting, and it's going to sound like the dumbest thing, but it is the token. And the reason it's a token is because it's going to make people talk about it. And like, I'm not a big marketing guy. Like sometimes I think marketing is cringe, but why is not everyone talking about ZKP2P? Why is it, yeah, okay, it's limited to what you can do with it currently, but
there's no price.
There's
Dylan,
no benefit.
if I told you a month ago, hey, here's a system that you could just Venmo some money and you get crypto out of it and it's trustless, you probably would have thought about using it.
Yeah.
But nobody knew it existed. And I think the reason it doesn't, like people don't know it exists because it doesn't have a token. Because unfortunately, we live in a world where if you want a bunch of people on the internet to talk about a thing, you have to duct tape a token to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of a unfortunate reality of a world we currently live in. So I don't hate the token, even if people want to call it a duct tape token. I think it makes sense. I think the being able to break out of this island is a very valuable thing, and it's all going to like come down to the point of whether it works or not. But most of the thing Richard has launched has worked, right? It's like PulseChain works. It works fine. May not be the price everybody wants, but it functions every day. PulseX works minus the one bug, which, no one wants to talk about anymore, but, whatever. We have V2 now.
If you know, you know.
And, Hex works. Like all these things work. Richard's never not delivered. I do think this is a monumental task to get this to a mass adoption state where like people outside of this ecosystem are willing to try it or learn about it. But I don't think that's impossible. And I do think with the Richard we got in that video, if that's his demeanor, it might actually be more reasonable than I would have originally thought. So.
Yep. And Sunlight Live 1 asked, does it have good supplementals? Well, you see a pretty low valuation for starters in this sacrifice that has been going on. So I would say that is a great foundation of some pumpamentals right there, because we're not at billions and billions and billions of dollars raised for this thing. And Alex was talking about marketing. What better way to market than, what's this new token that's on my deck screener and all these websites that are, insane, showing insane price pumps. Oh, it's this ProveX thing. What is this ProveX thing? And off you go.
Well, I also will just add, like, Richard was very clear about one thing that I think is important. When that sacrifice came out, like, very clear with the words, like, this is not for you. Right. And I don't think enough people pay attention to it. Like, don't get me wrong, like low valuation, a coin that buy and burns as people use it. I like all of those things. Those are all like music to my ears. But I think a lot of people are operating under the assumption that all of this is only going to benefit ProveX, and I don't think that's the case. I think this will benefit PulseChain pretty significantly, and I think it's I think the words "this is not for you" is specifically saying, like, if you're on PulseChain, like, this thing's going to benefit you whether you participate in the sack or not. That's that's how I want to interpret it. That's what it comes across to me. I can be stupid and wrong, so whatever.
I think we've all felt some of that over the past few years. Stupid, wrong, and it depends on what coins are in your bag too, possibly.
Yeah, it's a biasing element to how you see life, unfortunately.
Yep. Any thoughts from either one of you? I think Dylan might have asked you this last show, but thoughts, just some basic stuff touching on the ProveX sacrifice. Thoughts on ignoring the cores, kind of like what Alex was saying there. Like, this is not for you. If it was for you, then cores would have likely been accepted. I took a pause when that was first announced, that there were no cores, and I was like, wait, why would this be that way? And then I quickly warmed up to it. Your guys' thoughts on no cores, just basically outside funds unless you sell said cores and go out and sacrifice via ETH or what have you.
Yeah, I mean, you go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's two things here. Maybe he's trying to wash people out. I know we've heard that over and over and over again, right? Like,
this is the shakeout.
We're washed out, guys. Like,
this is the one.
This is enough. But maybe it's that. I really do think he's just trying to get people from the outside in here, which
is the main goal, really, in the end.
I mean, a sales pitch of like trying to get somebody into this that doesn't know the lore is like really hard. So, I don't know. But then, I think he's there's the sandbagging and the rolling over of the the other cores, right? Because like there's big guys that are still in that stuff and they have a lot of money, right? And sure, accepting cores could have caused a pump in your prices so you can sack, but does that bode well for the sacrifice in general when it launches? Probably not, So, and he mentioned this directly a few times, actually more than a few times in his video. So, I think it's very clear that it was just an intentional move to keep the valuation as low as possible, while
which
he
has
released
proven out so far.
exactly, yeah. So, like people are going to be upset. Like you can't make everybody happy, but he's like
This is PulseChain.
Yeah, I know, right? And he's going to try and I had a at length conversation about this last night, and in a private group, and these guys, they didn't sack, which is fine, right? But I think he's really trying to. This is his marketing tool, right? I said this earlier in the stream. Like his marketing tool, pretty clearly, where he's going to try and push this out because you really don't need the coin to use this thing, right? Like Alex said earlier as well, it's a duct tape on token. Like, come on, it is what it is. But people are going to use it, and we're going to try and make it popular. Like the community is really going to try to make this thing popular again, right? We did a really good job with Uniswap making that popular. And I mean, hey, rally behind Richard and let's make this thing popular, so that we kind of change the paradigm in crypto, right? Disintermediate the exchanges and stuff like that. And then these guys that use this thing on Solana or whatever, they're not going to know that, that 1% fee that you're paying on one side is going to buy up this other token over here, which that's cool, right? Like that's outside funds coming in, right? Into PulseChain, helping PulseChain, reviving PulseChain. So that's good.
And what I think is really important to add to that is, a lot of people super rallied on Richard at one point to create an exchange. This is basically the closest equivalent that you could
actually. That's a really good point. Yeah, like this is his creative way of getting around the exchanges anyway. Like we need this regardless. That's a great point, Alex. Yeah.
And so like full disclosure, I am not a ProveX sacrificer. I do think it's a good idea. I do think it will. I think if it launches in the way that it's kind of sort of being said that it will, and I'm also adding some bits into there just from my own knowledge of how some of these other things work. If it launches in the way I think it will, I do think it will be beneficial. Will I consider buying the token if it dumps? Maybe. But end of the day, I do think I kind of took the whole like this is not for you thing, pretty literally. So it's like it's not for me.
Okay.
You're right not to sack. Yeah,
that's right.
What else? I think we pretty much touched on just about everything. You ignored the cores. Oh, so the last question, I guess, being we're going to land the plane here for the show. The end of the ProveX sack, when that plan lands, those last 5 days, do we see, gentlemen, in your opinions, because of course nobody knows, do we see an entity come in with a big sack, or is it different this time? And I hate asking that, because usually when you ask that, it's not. But could it be different this time? I hope it is, just because everything's playing out, I think, perfectly so far. If you would like something to pump its lights out, but what do we see those last 5 days?
Yeah, that's like
no idea.
Shake a crystal ball, dude. Like
what would
Yeah.
all right? So phrased differently or asked differently, what would you like to see happen?
I would like to see no strange additions to the sack pool. I think that is the best possible case, and shows a little bit of growth. Will that be what happens? Is like I don't know. The bigger thing for me is like you can make an argument for Hex that it was useful to a degree. Like the OA is useful.
Yeah.
It has a use. It has a purpose to exist. In a token that buys and burns, I don't know if it's useful. So, time will tell. But my personal thing is like I would like to see it not be the case.
Yeah, way
Yeah.
easier to pump less than 20 million market cap versus a multiple or
A
more.
gajillion.
Yeah, of that. Which he kind of acknowledged in his video, did he not? So perhaps that was
many times. I will say
foreshadowing.
this. I will say this, Cabana.
Yes.
Does it matter? Like,
Probably
I mean,
not.
optically
Depends on-
speaking, it
Optically,
matters.
that's about it.
But realistically, if you know what's going on,
if
really
it,
doesn't matter.
yeah.
Well,
if-
okay. So actually, this is actually an important point. The optics matter because
Yes.
this is not a thing that is like our little community thing in our island,
Yeah.
right? This is a thing that is supposedly going to go across many blockchains. So I do think the optics of that matter a lot in the end.
True. I hope he doesn't do it. I mean, just because of optically, it makes sense to just leave it as nice looking as possible and as attractive as possible. I mean, I guess you could. Oh,
You all right?
yes.
Okay.
I locked my PC on accident. Can you still see me?
Yep.
Yeah, you're still up.
Okay, I'm back. My bad. I pressed the button. Yeah, so I think like it doesn't matter to us. I mean, you could have it to where you insert the actual value or whatever the market cap, excluding that stuff. Like you could adjust that on these sites, and then you could have the fully diluted value next to it or something. And so it's like, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like you can massage that accurately to where it actually reflects this stuff. I think. But I mean, it'd be nice not to see it. But I mean, he might do it just to incentivize the dev. Like he's, that he would be the dev, and then to keep him interested. Oh, I have all these coins now. Oh, I got to make
Right.
more. Maybe I don't know.
I would. I also like to. I think I've brought this up before. Is that most? It even says it. I think on the ProveX website about he wants the believers. Like this is who that is for almost. So it might not be if you're on PulseChain or something like that, you could believe from Solana and be like, hey, what's this or whatever. But the believers who are, and there are many, I know many are in Buck and yours pool. Those are the guys that I'm rooting for. And I would not like the optics of, a big tranche coming in at the very end and, their morale getting down when it's already like in the gutter. Who cares about morale? I do. I think we need a boost, and I think that would be like a negative towards that. So those are the guys. What like Buck said many times. We as the community need a win. RH needs a win. It's not necessarily like a Hail Mary, but some people could view it that way. But this is like a must win. It's not a Hail Mary because I think this is well thought out, and I see how it can be extremely beneficial to the community. So that's part of my take on that matter.
Well, and I'll just add, like I'm always like the annoying history guy, but like I always look back on it and I'm like, okay, the dude's basically forced silent for at least 2 years. This is basically his first real statement. Because like what that case? When did the case resolve? Like it was this year, right? Or was it last year?
Hold on,
I
let me
can't
look
remember.
at the.
Early this year, because I think
Yeah.
his victory video was like in May, and
It was February.
in February. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the ink chart and it was just like, whoop. Yeah, so. Or no, that was somewhere, something like that. Yeah, or something like that.
Right. So like the case resolves, right? There's a little bit of leeway you need of time there before you can really do anything because you don't know like are they gonna is there an appeal coming? Like what's happening here? It's like so or was February the actual like when the SEC is like, hey, we're not gonna file our amendment to this. Either way, doesn't matter. I guess at the end of the day it is still this year. But you know, so it's like between that time and now, like this is like Richard's first real statement. This is the first time he's really been able to say anything and seems to be able to say things relatively freely. So, you know, to me, that means a lot more than like this X account no longer exists. So, you know, because I think a lot of people were fearful that that was an inevitable reality. Whether that's warranted or not, like there, you know, people that proof of life mattered, and the proof of life was, hey, not only am I still here, but we're gonna try to kill it again. And to me, like that statement matters, like whether I'm participating in this thing or not. You know, just the idea that like I've come out of this and we're gonna keep going is, you know, a confidence booster, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, and especially if he, you know, obviously I think I mentioned like, you know, the pumpamentals being a marketing factor, but like he, like it or not, like he is the face of this stuff, and it had these coins had its most success, their most success combined when he was active and streaming. And you know, maybe we don't get live streams anymore, but if he is more active and we see him more, and hopefully one day he does, you know, start making the rounds, that is a giant wind at our backs, that I think a lot of people are still not really calculating into, you know, potential success metrics. And I think somebody actually mentioned that was it 7. Yeah, even if he can do like long videos to promote, or yeah, if he does a long video to promote the SAC, he can do regular videos to promote the ecosystem, boost morale. And I agree that would be outstanding, and I hope we see more of that, because if that combined with, you know, this thing actually launching, and maybe, you know, we get good price action and all these little things go together. You know, Alex's beginning of the Bitcoin bull, we're just starting, so we're going to ride that up with this, and perhaps Ethereum takes off. That could all combine for a big turnaround in this ecosystem. Am I being Pollyannish? Whatever, call me what you want, but I'm just pointing out, like, there are potential positives out there. We've seen like a lot of negatives. We've been beaten into the ground. Price hit like a all-time low this week. But perhaps Dylan's bottom is in. He didn't call it.
Or just perhaps, you know. But you know, the macro matters. Like we're going into QE. Like I don't think that's disputable at this point.
Yeah.
And we've been in QT this whole time. Crypto's only ever done crazy things in QE effectively. So, you know, like I know the whole meme is like this time it's different is definitely a meme, but I see more on the side of like this time it's different than this time it's the same, right? Like more seems to be weighted towards it's not the same thing.
Indeed. Well, that does it for my topic list. Ran through everything, and I think it was just pretty much we're 15 minutes away from 2 hours, and it felt like 30 minutes because it was just nonstop info and good stuff, aside from the trivia contest that Big K won. But anyway, good to see everybody. Good to see everyone in the chat. We will go around here before we sign off and do our usual thing. Alex, can you, if you would like to be found, tell us where we can find you. You teased a little something potentially as a Christmas gift to some coming later this month for those who may have tuned in late, which there were a lot of as I'm viewing the number. The current viewer count. Just, I guess, maybe a quick summary of what could be coming down the pipe that you can share with us.
Yeah, so you can find me and Synergy on X as usual. The Sigma, the hopefully universal ETF thing that maybe kind of sort of brings us together. I'd really like to test net it this month at the very least. So that's kind of where I'm spending all my effort. And yeah.
Another reason why it would be cool if this were the bottom, because there'd be no better place to launch something than at a bottom. Price chart would be awesome.
Yeah.
It's true.
Dylan, our newly engaged bro of the team. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas to you if I don't see you on stream before then. But where can we find you? And I guess I brought it up earlier, but you and Buck have been involved in a sacrifice pool. Is it still up? Have the miscreants that have been demanding for you to close it, have they won out, or is the pool still open? And anything else you'd like to tell us?
Yeah, let me go check the leaderboard real quick. Make sure we're still on the top slot here.
Good idea.
Oh yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're still up top. No, that's fine. Yeah, Sackpool. Sackpool is doing really well. It's number one, as we forecasted. We did really well with that. And yeah, this is Alex's show, guys. So Sackpool, we're not talking about that. You know too much about it.
We had to touch on it.
Yeah. And so yeah, you know where to find me. At BB Trippin, BB_Trippin on Twitter. That's
what does the BB stand for?
You know what it stands for.
Well, the audience might not. So
yeah. So
I don't know what it stands for. Why don't you come on?
Stands for bitches be tripping.
Never fails to get a smile out of me when I hear that. So thank you for sharing that once again.
Of course.
And perhaps new members of the Happy Hour audience. So as always, I am Cabana. I thank you for tuning in. Big K, I will thank you all for Big K, who was in here for a little bit earlier. For those late, he did make an appearance from a car outside of some sort of dance recital or something of the sort. And yeah, thanks to Alex for coming on. It's been a minute. Please don't be a stranger, and look forward to seeing you hopefully sooner than later, and possibly on some other PulseChain community streams, as I would assume you might be making the rounds as things start to move forward with your stuff. So and the audience loved it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I'll be sure to make my rounds. It's like I'm as bearish as everybody feels, and bottoms are not great. I actually feel really good about where we are currently. So
we've been through a lot of pain, and I echo that sentiment. I feel pretty good, probably because we've been beaten to death, and this could be maybe the end of it. The light at the end of the tunnel is starting to appear. Could it be a freight train? Possibly, but I see light at the end of the tunnel. So
it's just a light from the train, But no, I agree with that.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, thank you once again. Thank you for all the information, Alex, and your takes on everything. I think that was really helpful for all the community that tuned in. We got a huge viewer count once again. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. As always, check the socials. Big K and I will let you know when the next happy hour show is. And until then, everybody, have a great weekend. Hopefully we'll see you before Christmas. If not, have a Merry Christmas. I know DJ Cryptomatic, who did the pre-show, is having his annual Hexmas show with shout outs from the community. That is on December 18th at 2 p.m. on his Twitch. So just mark that down. It's a Thursday here in the States, 2 p.m. Eastern. So shout out to him for taking care of the pre-show as always. And yeah, thanks everybody. And we'll see you soon or later.